My name is John Passfield, and the title of this reading will be John and Mother Goose Video 6, Mother Goose Part 4. So this is the fourth and final segment of the Mother Goose Dilemma. There will be other videos on other topics. Here's my novella, John and Mother Goose, the Carnival of Tales. That's John and Mother Goose in the circle there talking to each other. While driving his granddaughter home from daycare, John suddenly finds himself standing in the midway of a carnival of Mother Goose fairy tales. He's greeted by Jack, of Jack and Jill fame, who tells John that Mother Goose is expecting him, as she has a role for him to play. But what does Mother Goose want? Why does she think John is a writer of detective stories? And why, when she meets John, does she greet him almost as a long-lost son? And for that matter, why do so many of the fairy tale characters have different stories they want John to write for them, instead of the ones in which they have lived for hundreds of years? John is not a mythical creature. He's only a human after all, but can he save the Mother Goose Carnival? Can he solve the mystery of the vanishing fairy tales? Now, John finds himself in a situation which he can't control, but which he struggles to understand. He knows that he's a writer, but he also knows that he's not a writer of crime novels, as Mother Goose seems to believe he is. He understands Mother Goose's concern that the nursery rhyme characters are disappearing from her stages, but he has no idea where they might have gone to or why they have gone. So far, he has said very little to Mother Goose, except by way of extracting more information. But as the story moves on, he asks himself how he's going to tell Mother Goose that he's not the person she thinks he is, and that he's not the person who can solve her dilemma. So let's go to page 63 and pick up on the story of Mother Goose's problem, Mother Goose's dilemma. Page 63. Okay. So John and Mother Goose are strolling along the midway of the Carnival of Fairy Tales together. We're standing in front of a stage. Excuse me. Mother Goose and I. There's a very small crowd, perhaps 10, no more. 2 stagehands come out and arrange a makeshift stile. The little old lady comes out on stage and bows to the audience to a smattering of applause. She holds up a sixpence and turns back to the curtain, and a hand reaches out and takes the sixpence, and then a pause, and the little old lady is handed a little pig. She puts the pig down and tries to get it to go over the stile. The little pig hunkers down and refuses to budge. The little old lady shrugs her shoulders and wonders what in the world she's going to do. John hears a line from a nursery rhyme. An old woman was sweeping her house. Good news, John. Wonderful news, Mother Goose is telling me. You won't believe what I have to say. I'm starting to feel an awful lot better. A couple of acts have just shown up. I looked up and saw them struggling along the road. The animals' feet were sore. They were holding them wrapped in blankets. A pig, a cat, and a little dog. Tired, hungry, exhausted, covered in dust and in need of a bath. They've been out on their own, if you can imagine, wandered away without saying a word, gathering small crowds on street corners and staging impromptu shows. They were getting rather despondent, John. They decided to come back home. The Mother Goose Carnival Tales is where they belong. They've mentioned others who are in the same situation. Most of them plan to catch up and join us soon as well. So there wasn't a crime after all, John. They simply wandered away from the fold. I won't be needing your bloodhound instincts after all. Okay, then we go to the next page. Oh, there are dark and sinister forces, John. I have no doubt about that. But I promise myself we won't go into those. Let us be thankful for a respite. Whatever it is in remission. Let us rejoice while there is sunshine. The wolves, for now, have spared, thank heaven, the fold. I see daffodils peeking their heads above the ground. We stop at one of the stages as we stroll along, Mother Goose and I. 6 or 8 people have stopped to watch as well. 2 stagehands come out on the stage. One of the stagehands holds a bell. He moves over to one side of the stage and raises a small hammer and makes ready to strike on the bell. The other stagehand opens a trap door in the stage. A third stagehand comes out holding a cat. He holds the cat up high for all to see. He kneels down and places the cat inside the hole in the stage. The other stagehand strikes with a hammer upon the bell. The 3 stagehands turn and leave the stage. John hears a line from a nursery rhyme. Ding dong bell, pussy's in the well. Oh, I'm so very, very relieved, John. There's been no murder after all. Some of the acts whom I thought had been kidnapped will soon return. They sent word as well. I hope I haven't detained you. You must have plenty of things to do. Many cases must wait on your desk for you to solve. But you too must be pleased, John. It's not a failure to solve on your part. No wonder you've made no progress. There just haven't been any crimes. No crimes at all. We go from page 65 to page 66. I always pull back from the brink, John. That's repeatedly what I do. I've come to many a gaping precipice in my time, some imaginary, I'll admit, but some as real as Satan, nevertheless. But I always pull back in time, John. I stop with my toes right over the edge. And then I take my inventory, John. I sit down at my desk in my tent. I light my little stub of a candle. I dip my quill in the ink, John. I make another list, and then I proceed. We walk along the midway. A play is about to start. About 12 or 15 people stop to watch. I stop at the edge of the crowd, and Mother Goose stops too. 2 stagehands come out, one pushing and one pulling. They shuffle a cupboard into place and leave the stage. In a moment, the curtain parts and a little old lady peeks her head through the curtain to a burst of applause. She has a little dog in her arms, and she moves out onto the stage and sets him down. The dog sits, raises his forelegs, and barks a quiet bark. The little old lady holds up a finger, and the dog holds its position, and then the old lady turns and moves towards the cupboard. She turns and raises a finger again and smiles at the dog. Then she turns back to the cupboard and opens the door. Her smile fades as she realizes that the cupboard is bare. A line goes through John's mind. Old Mother Hubbard went to the cupboard. We stand here on the midway. Mother Goose and I can't tell her I saved her carnival. She wouldn't hear any ill of Jack. Now that's another strand in the novella, which I'll read in other videos, so she won't hear any ill of Jack. But human warps has passed between us, and that's a gain. I open my arms out wide and give her a hug, a nice big thank you and hope we meet again hug. She thinks that I'm a detective writer no less. Well, it's flattering. I'm very touched. I would hate to disillusion her. I'll let her continue to think so of me. And as for thinking of me as a son, well, that's just fine with me. From now on, I'll think of myself as one of her brood. You know, John, says Mother Goose, I believe I've read all of your detective books, except perhaps 1 or 2. In fact, I believe I read them all except just one. Many's the night they have kept me up until the dawn. The hug is warm and prolonged. Well, it's time for you to go, John. I have plenty to do around here. There's no one busier than a mother hen in a storm. There's just one more little mystery. There's just one other niggling thing. Mother Goose was looking me squarely in the eye. I said I'm a long-time reader. I just love the books you write. There's just one that has so far eluded me. Now, if you'll just recite the list of your titles, there's a lot of them I know, but no doubt you have the list on the tip of your tongue. I'm sure that I can tell you precisely which one. You wrote about a book. Sorry, I ruined that line. You wrote a book about two writers, as I recall. Well, that's the story of Mother Goose's dilemma. So the story of the Mother Goose Carnival of Tales turns out to have a happy ending. Or does it? Yes, Mother Goose is relieved as some of the missing nursery rhyme characters have returned to the fold after going out and performing on their own, and more of them have sent word that they will return. But what about her constant fear, as expressed in an image, that the wolves are watching the fold, waiting for a chance to breach the walls? And what about the relationship between John and Mother Goose? We've all read hundreds of stories in which two people come to the end of an adventure and realize that they've come to know each other. But here, we readers leave the relationship of the two main characters with Mother Goose still believing, as she has all along, that John is the writer of detective stories, which he, John, has insisted all along, silently to himself, he is not. So is this story a dream or a nightmare? Or do we have an ending by which we can decide? What will be John's reply to Mother Goose's question about his list of book titles? And what about her mysterious reference to the rather Dickensian-sounding A Tale of Two Writers? Perhaps this is not an ending. Perhaps there will be a sequel. In any case, let's call it a dream nightmare. A dream-nightmare for now. So, once again, then, this is my novella, John and Mother Goose, Carnival of Tales. It's available on Amazon. If you look there, there's more information. It's available at my publisher's website, roxmillspress.com. It's also available, the novella isn't available, but there are two books available on my website, a planning notebook and a journal. The planning notebook is simply that. I plan to write the novel and keep notes. The journal is a reflective journal, which I write as I read over and polish the rough draft and ask myself about all these questions that such a book raises as one reads it and polishes it. So have a look at johnpassfield.ca if you're interested. Lastly, I'll just say thank you for watching this video.